I'm glad I did that. And I said, you know what? New York will always be there. I'm 28. If I fuck it up by 30, I can still make it over there.
Yeah. That's a good way.
And I'm 33 years old now, and now we're opening a second restaurant.
So you're like, still not going to New York.
Yeah.
Well,
New York is always there to visit.
You
it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you fucking open your 4 restaurants. You could have a penthouse over there, so it's all good.
There you
know
go.
what I mean? That's the goal right there.
It'll be cheaper than buying a penthouse in Austin at that time.
Hell yeah, for sure. I think everybody from New York and LA and everybody's coming over here now.
Yeah.
So fucking once Joe Rogan told everyone to come over here,
everybody listen.
Floodgate, bro. How's that been here? Has it been negative or positive? Because I
think there's both sides of that story, right? Like the positive is bringing a lot of business. It's bringing a lot of business to restaurants, to the city. It's bringing a lot of attention and a public eye to where I feel like we've had that, but now it's like, okay, Austin is the place, right?
Yeah.
And the negative is that it's hard for the locals to still do the things that we loved and afford the things that we were aspiring for, right? Like, for example, for me, like, I was finally at a place where I could start looking at, buying a house and saying, like, fuck paying rent. I can pay the same amount of money for a house. And when I started looking, like, I kept getting outbid.
Yeah.
And it's like, Fermin finally makes it in life to try to, like, get to a better point to secure. And then California and Austin happens, right?
Yeah, right.
So all those things happen. So I think there's positive and negatives, but ultimately, like, the business is doing great because of the positives that are coming. And,
Understood.
And the negatives is just part of, like, living in a growing city.
Yeah.
And people figure it out, People live in San Francisco, and it's not cheap.
Yeah.
There's cooks in San Francisco, right?
Yeah,
like, they have to sleep somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think it's just part of, like, you figure it out. And I think it's new to us because that boom has never happened yet at the level. But you just figure it out. Like, that's what we do.
100%.
As humans and as chefs.
Yeah, that's why it's the same thing with gas prices for me. Everyone fucking complains about gas prices. I'm like, okay, then walk. Like, you're still going to pay it, bro, It's like, all right. So, you're opening Suerte, you get the deal. Do you have a space in mind?
So we had that when he told me that he had the space. That's where he took me for that conversation. And at that point, like that part of town, you'll see it when you go for dinner tonight. It's not what it is now. It was like, if you made it to that part of the street, it was a little bit far out. There was nothing around it. Now there's offices, there's a hotel across the street, there's a restaurant around us. But it was scary at
the end of the day,
first.
You guys did that.
I mean,
the fucking restaurants bring the people. That's what happens. I'm sorry for anybody that thinks,
I agree with that, but it was a little scary at first because there was a period in time where we couldn't afford to pay ourselves yet, and I was driving for Uber to just make ends meet, and I would drive around that area at night, on a Friday at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and it was dead. I would get no rides around that. I was like, are we doing the right thing? Are we gonna fuck this up?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think restaurants compete in flavor and service, right? But you still have to get a little bit of luck.
100%.
We know that story of great restaurants that have failed just because they were in the wrong location or things like that. Like, you still need a little bit of luck, and at that time, it felt like we were going to need a lot of it because there was nothing happening around that time.
Gotcha.
And now, almost 5 years later, from before we opened, it's a whole different side of town.
Yeah. Did you have an easy time hiring because you had all these guys that had worked for you?
I've been lucky. We've been lucky to have a good time hiring. Our hiring team was amazing. There's still some of them there. One of them is Rene Garza.
Yeah.
He started as a line cook, was a lead line cook. Then after that, did butchery, did prep. He pretty much worked all the stations, and now he was a sous chef, obviously, and now he's a chef de cuisine. We're going to open another restaurant that's going to be focused on seafood with a Mexican point of view.
Dope. And
he's going to be the opening CDC. So I want to give him the opportunities that were given to me about learning how to open a restaurant with someone else's money.
Exactly.
He's been there since day one. He deserved it. Another one is Juanito. He went through all the ranks. He worked all the stations, and now he's a sous chef. And we have people that are also in their 2-3 year mark that are still engaged and wanting to be a part of it. And I think that's also another exciting thing about opening another restaurant, where now we have more room for people to keep growing up.
Yeah,
because that's one thing with me. It's I want to keep teaching you, and if I can't teach you, you got to go.
Yeah.
can't teach you anymore. You got to go. Like, I have another guy his name is Clark. He was our extern from CIA. I met him getting a tattoo. I was getting a tattoo. He walked in and he was like, I want the Bourdain tattoo right here on my arm. Yeah. He was still in high school. He had just graduated high school. And then when I was getting tattooed, there was a conversation that somebody said like, oh, Suerte, chef, blah, blah. And then when I was done, he was like, so you're a chef? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, I'm thinking about going to culinary school. I'm just getting a Bourdain tattoo right now. And I was like, cool, man. Like, you ever need anything, you want to check it out for a day, do a massage? Like, here's my card. We were like, at that point, we were like 5 months in. Yeah. So it was like not a lot of people knew about us. But I gave him my card, and like 6 months later, he's like, I made it to culinary school, chef. I don't know if you remember me, but we were getting tattoos. Yeah. And it's time for me to do my externship. Can I do it with you? And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And now he did it. He went back to school. He finished. Now he's back. He's about to start, managing, and I want to open the restaurant with him in the management level too, like sous chef, junior sous chef. And then I told him, like, after a year of that, you have to leave. Like, at that point, like, I've taught you everything that you need to know from me, and you gotta fucking keep going. And I'll help you. If you do a good job, I'll help you get whatever you want. Yeah. You want to go see Chambrock? I can probably make that happen. Like, you do good by me, I'll do good by you. Dude. It'll be easier for me to keep them for longer than a year after opening a restaurant, right? Yeah. But at that point, it's only fair to me.
Well, easy's not the goal. I think you definitely have that ethos. And that's great, man, that you can build an ecosystem with, I don't think a lot of cooks, or when you were a cook, you don't think about how much your chef thinks about you. Like, it literally, like, all day long, you're like, how's that person doing? And what do they need? You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful relationship. And I'm so happy for you that you were able to do that now, man. That's fucking badass.
No, I mean, I think that's part of what I've noticed in the past 2 to 3 years as my role as a chef of Suerte is part of my job is to make people's question whether they want to leave or not. Like, part of my job is making sure that you really want to think about leaving. Yeah. And part of that too is like, I remember what it was like then. And it's not just, it doesn't all just come from money, right? Money is a part, but it's also like, if you're giving people opportunities, if you manage them how you see that they want to be managed, right? Like, some people might just want to be prep cooks and get paid very well. Yeah. And I have those people, right? Yeah. Like, we all have those people in kitchens, and some people want to keep learning more. So, okay, you've been doing this for a year. Let's keep you in the restaurant, but show you another side of it, right? Yeah. You just have to learn how to manage, and yeah, you're right. Like, sometimes people don't even think I'm listening, and I'm just like doing my shit. And I'll go back to them like, yeah, like, if you like tacos, you should also try this place. And the dishwasher is like, what?
Yeah. You listen to me?
and I just go back to him like, just because I'm not like, showing you my face doesn't mean I'm not listening. Like, I'm always listening. And if you want to go get tacos, let me know, because the ones you talked about, they're not that good. Yeah. And they're like, oh shit, So that's also my way of like showing them that I care and that I'm there. Yeah. It's important. That's part of our jobs more than just holding a knife and chopping things.
Yeah. So, when you got the space, was the kitchen in the space or not yet?
There was a very shitty kitchen. Okay. But I mean, we pretty much like only kept 3 walls of that building and then started from scratch. So that was
demoed everything.
It was about a year of like waiting and trying to figure out and doubting yourself too.
100%.
When we started like talking about it, right? We were very excited about this place that was doing this thing called nixtamalization that nobody fucking knew about, or you had to spell it out and talk to them about it was. Yeah. But by like, a full year of saying that to people and trying to explain it, that it wasn't going to be like just Mexican food. Yeah. It got a little redundant, and I was like, is this still relevant? Are people going to want to eat this tortilla that we're fucking so excited about?
Yeah, exactly.
And opening restaurants will do that to you. I've talked to a lot of chefs that have gone through that, and it's hard because by the time you actually open, your idea in your brain is very old. 2 to 3 years sometimes. Yeah. So we just had a good fade, and like, I wanted to bring the pain through the power of a good tortilla, and then the rest was just with the help of the staff.
Mm-hmm. And how did you formulate sort of the menu style? Was it just based around the tortillas, and how are we going to use these as a vessel to Like the food?
It was a little bit of, the tortilla was one part of it, but masa was the canvas to what we were going to do. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I wanted to do is, like, I didn't want to have tacos on the menu. If we were going to have tacos, I just wanted to have one. And now we still only have one. And we're very known for that one. But I also wanted to show people the power of tlacoyo, a tlayuda, a tostada, a tamal made with great masa. So when we opened, we had a section that was called Vitamin T. All the vitamina. Just tea. Tamales, tostadas, tlayudas, tlacoyos. All those things that I wanted to show people that are more than just tacos.
Yeah.
And then switching the idea of, like, a plated taco to where, like, here's a grilled fish. And it's going to come with tortillas. Mm-hmm. Make your own tacos.
I love that.
Because that's what tacos are to me. Like, in a way, when you're growing up, your mom will give you the tacos with the meat, and then it's your canvas, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities. Do you want to put cilantro and onions? Do you want to put salsa on all of them? Do you want to do lime every bite? Do you want to do lime on all at the same time? Do you want 2 different salsas? Do you want to eat a chile when you're eating a bite of the taco? Like, no one ever talks about that. When you're growing up, you just kind of figure out by seeing and being in those spaces. And I wanted to recreate that and kind of show people that not all Mexican restaurants have to have sombreros, sarapes, and Virgin Guadalupe candles.
No, I hear you.
And that was one of the things that I'm really proud and happy to be able to do. Like, we have regulars that will tell me, I'm going to Mexico because I didn't know it could be the school. And it's like, oh, you're going to Mexico City? Let me give you my list. And now it fucking, like, blows their mind when they go to Mexico City and see the places that inspired me and the restaurant to do what we do here. Because that's also one thing that I wanted to be very careful with. We're not opening a Mexico City restaurant in Austin. We're opening a restaurant in Austin that does Mexican food. Mm-hmm. So what that means to me is Suerte. Its first language is English, but it's very fluent in Spanish.
Got you.
So that's the way I would describe it. And we take Mexican cooking techniques and apply it to ingredients that are within arm's reach. Yeah. So a lot of the things that we see in Mexico grow here, but some of the things are not grown here, right? Gotcha. So we see a lot of fennel in Austin. I don't think I've ever seen a lot of fennel in Mexico. But why don't we fucking char and make a salsa with it? Yeah. You know? Let's use tarragon. And let's play with those ingredients that are local to Austin. So when you're at Suerte, it tastes like Suerte in Austin. It doesn't taste like, oh yeah, it's like the Mexico City restaurant. We're one of one.
Well, you know what you were saying about ideas and how, 3 years goes by and you open and you don't know if your idea is good anymore. It seems to me like you had identity, and I don't think anybody can take that away. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the difference between those restaurants that have a great idea and don't succeed, and then the restaurants that do make it after fucking your opening holds back 2 years and you're still able to open. Like, look at Yangban over there in LA, right? Like, they've been pushing back the opening forever. And you just know that they know their identity. So when that place opens, like, everything's going to be like, okay.
You got to have soul.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the same thing that happened with Charter Oak. You know, it's like, it was an idea. It got held back a fucking year due to construction and all this shit. Like, of course that was going to happen. And still very successful today. And it's because identity, So
that's where the magic is at.
Hell yeah, man. So, and, you have Suerte for knowing that so early. You know what I mean? Like, it truly is, like, everything about that, like, makes sense.
I mean, it's also, like, the name, too. Like, are people going to want to, like... Are people going to have a hard time saying Suerte? And, like, you know what? Some people do, but most people fucking don't.
That's the same thing with Sucio. Yeah. Every time I tell, hey, Sucio.Talk, they're like, Sucio? There was this guy who, D. Lynn Proctor, he was on the movie Psalm, and he helped produce the movie that about the sommelier on Netflix. I forget what movie it was. But the GM comes downstairs and he's like, some guy's looking for David Sucio. Do you know who that is? And I was like, I think he means Sucio. And he's like, oh. And then he just starts cracking up. I'm like, it's not my last name, people. It's a state of mind.
It is a state of mind. I love it.
So you open the restaurant. And when do you start, like, feeling good about it? Because you had all these questions. Yeah. Now it's happening. Did you soft open or did you just go?
So we did soft opening. But I think to answer that, like, I started feeling good when we would start running out of food.
Ah, yeah.
I was like, okay, when we needed more Cambros, when we needed more Lexans in the walk, and I was like, okay, this is a good problem to have. Like, people like this. And you know, we were also very lucky. We've been very lucky to get a lot of accolades, not just from the local level, but also national. So